Welcome to the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show.
Cup of Joe Wrestling Show
With Joey Harris. A podcast for the wrestling fan on the go. So take your favorite beverage of choice and join Joey as he takes a look at some of the biggest shows on the WWE Network.
From makeshift studios in the shadow of South Central Virginia, this is the Cup of Joe Wrestling Show, and I'm your host, Joey Harris. You can follow the show on Twitter at Cup of Joe Pod, email the show at cupofjoewrestlingshow@gmail.com. Today, folks, Project 45 goes back to 2013 as we look at the April the 8th, 2013 edition of Monday Night Raw. 2013, I had just moved back to my hometown after a rough couple of years and was just trying to put my life back together. So wrestling was not a huge part of my life at the time, but I was slowly starting to get back into it over the next year. Monday Night Raw was shown on the USA Network on April the 8th, 2013 from the Izod Center in New Jersey. There were 16,173 in attendance. We start out with our WWE intro, then the Raw intro. Michael Cole, JBL, and Jerry Lawler are the commentators for the evening and welcome us to Raw. We then start out with highlights from WrestleMania 29 that had happened the day before. John Cena's music hits. He gets on the mic and says it should be the goal of every wrestler to be in the main event and win at WrestleMania. He's getting a mixed reaction from the partisan crowd. Cena is having fun with the crowd, especially when they won't cheer him. "Let's go Cena, Cena sucks" chants go out. He says the crowd seems a little angry. He says he knows that they must be upset, but this is the Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. The crowd chants boring at him. He says it's more than that. How about last year when Brock Lesnar came back to whip his ass? He says, hell, I'm feeling pretty good tonight. He says he may do a dance tonight. He tries some dance moves out. So he proudly says tonight, the champ is here. The crowd boos. He says that his post-WrestleMania celebration starts today. He wants to fight tonight, and he doesn't care who it is. CM Punk, Randy Orton, Dolph Ziggler. Mark Henry's music hits, and he comes out. He gets in the ring and says the problem with coming out here and asking for trouble is trouble just might find you. The crowd chants sexual chocolate. Henry says, look at me when I'm talking to you. Cena says it's a raucous crowd. They want to have sex with chocolate. Henry says, pay attention to me, not them. He says he destroyed Ryback at WrestleMania. He says with all that talk, he thinks he and Cena need to have a match. The crowd chants, feed me more. Cena says first they want to have sex with chocolate, then they want to have some more. He says, Mr. World's Strongest Man, allow me to introduce myself. John Cena, WWE Champion. He says, you're right, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to tell you that you have the breath of 1,000 asses. He says, you want to fight? You've got one tonight. Mark Henry faces John Cena for the WWE Championship. General Manager Booker T comes out and says, wait a minute. Booker says he appreciates John Cena, but he can't have him come out here making WWE Championship matches. He says now the deal is The Rock is entitled to a rematch. Cena says the best out of 3? Booker says The Rock is the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship. Booker says, however, The Rock suffered an injury last night and he will not be here tonight. The crowd chants bullshit at Booker T. Booker says if Mark Henry wants a shot at the WWE Championship, he's going to have to earn it. If he can beat John Cena in the middle of that ring tonight, he will get his shot, but only if he can beat John Cena. Henry tells Booker T to get his hands off of him and tells Cena that he has jokes. He says all these jokes are going to get him tonight is entered into the Hall of Pain. Henry then leaves the ring. The announcers preview some of what's coming up tonight. Dolph Ziggler, AJ Lee, and Big E are shown in the back. Big E has his Raw debut later. More flashbacks to what happened at WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan with Kane versus Big E Langston with Dolph Ziggler and AJ Lee. The bell rings and Bryan attacks immediately with a high knee and a flurry of shots and kicks. Big E pushes him off. Bryan rushes Big E, who hits him with a sidewalk slam. He then spears Bryan in the corner. Anita Bryan and another spear in the opposite corner. He kicks Bryan as a Daniel Bryan chant goes out. Big E lifts Bryan up. Bryan keeps the momentum going and gets the sunset flip on Big E and gets a 1 count. Bryan with a series of yes kicks. Bryan goes up top, So AJ gets on the apron to distract the referee so Ziggler can get up on the apron and pull Bryan, who crouches himself on the top rope. Ziggler turns around and Kane grabs him by the throat and goes to chokeslam him on the floor, but Big E throws Bryan on Kane. Bryan gets back in. Big E hits the big ending and pins Bryan. WWE Intercontinental Championship match. The Miz versus Wade Barrett. Rematch from WrestleMania. Barrett attacks right away with kicks and forearms to Miz. He kicks Miz down in the corner. Barrett with a corner whip. Miz jumps up to avoid the charge and hits Barrett with a clothesline. He gets a 1 count. Miz with a suplex. Miz gets a side headlock on as a Let's Go Barrett chant goes out. Barrett up and goes to the ropes. Miz reverses a corner whip. Barrett ducks a corner clothesline and gets a sort of modified sunset flip on Barrett. He gets a 2 count. Miz runs Barrett into the corner face first and then does some corner mounted punches. He follows that up with a high knee for another 2 count. Miz goes back to a headlock, into a wrist lock. Barrett punches Miz to get out of the hold. He drops an elbow on Miz and gets a 2 count. Barrett with a headlock on Miz. Barrett up and goes to backdrop Miz, who lands on his feet. Barrett rushes Miz, who throws Barrett out through the ropes. Miz rushes Barrett and hits him with a double boots when he tries to get back in. He then hits Barrett with a double axe handle from the apron. Miz throws Barrett in and goes up top. Barrett moves out of the way. Miz lands on his feet. Barrett rushes him and Miz backdrops Barrett to the apron. Barrett hits Miz with a knee to the face and then hits a neckbreaker on Miz from the apron to the floor. The crowd cheers Barrett as they go to a commercial break. After the break, both men are back in the ring. Miz rushes Barrett, who hits Miz with the Winds of Change slam for a 2 count. Barrett throws Miz to the outside again. Barrett goes outside to the floor and delivers an homage to Cactus Jack with a bang bang and an elbow to the floor to Miz. He throws Miz inside and gets a close 2 count. Barrett goes back to a headlock. Miz gets back to his feet, hits a couple of elbows and a side slam to get out of the move. A double count going. Both men up and Miz swinging wildly and hitting Barrett with some big shots. Barrett reverses an Irish whip. Miz comes back with a flying forearm. He then hits a high knee to Barrett and a running kick to Barrett. Miz goes for a neck breaker, backbreaker combo. Barrett slips out halfway through and they accidentally knock heads. Miz gets a 2 count. Barrett rushes Miz, who runs Barrett headfirst into the corner. Miz hits Barrett with a running clothesline. Miz hits a double axe handle from the top rope. Miz gets a 2.5 count. Miz goes for the figure 4, but Barrett kicks him off. Miz kicks Barrett's knee and hits him with a DDT for a 2 count. A double count going, and Barrett is bleeding from the mouth. Barrett gets Miz up to go for Wasteland. Miz with elbows to slip out, and Barrett pushes Miz to the corner. Miz jumps up to avoid the charge. Barrett grabs Miz's legs, shoves him to the side, and goes to kick Miz. Miz grabs Barrett's leg and puts the figure 4 on. Barrett trying to get to the ropes. He does, and the referee forces Miz to let go of the hold. Miz and Barrett in opposite corners, and both are in pain. Miz rushes Barrett, who hits Miz with a big boot. Barrett gets up on the second rope, but Miz quickly gets back to his feet and hits Barrett with a shot to the midsection. Miz goes for a superplex. Barrett fights to get out of the attempt. Barrett runs Miz headfirst into the steel ring post. Barrett then hits the bullhammer elbow to pin Miz and become a 3-time Intercontinental Champion. Vicky Guerrero is in the back talking with Brad Maddox. Sheamus comes in saying, "Did you see WrestleMania last night? Did you see Big Show knock him out after the match was over?" For weeks he's been telling people that Big Show can't be trusted. He says he's not going to waste any time here tonight. He wants a match with the Big Show. Maddox says, "You realize if we give you this match, we're not going to forget that you owe us one." Sheamus says he doesn't care. All he wants is to kick the head off of that giant piece of crap. Guerrero says, "Sheamus, you've got it." She will give Sheamus a match. He says thank you and leaves. More highlights from WrestleMania. Booker T is in the back. He is approached by Randy Orton, who says congratulations on being a Hall of Famer. Booker says he appreciates it. He shows Orton his Hall of Fame ring. Orton says very nice and that his dad has one of those, before asking Booker for a favor. He says he needs a match tonight against the Big Show. He told Sheamus that he could trust the Big Show, and he was wrong. He was dead wrong. He needs to right that wrong. Booker tells Orton that it is his understanding that Vicky Guerrero already made a match, Sheamus versus the Big Show. Orton tells him that he's a Hall of Famer and an actual GM. If anyone can overrule Vicky Guerrero, it's him. Booker says you're right, and Orton has his match. Orton says thank you, and they shake hands. Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter come out. Coulter says, fellow Americans, our country is in bad shape, and after what happened last night, it just got worse. And don't say he didn't warn you about it, because he did. But he wants to ask you for something right now that he has never asked you for before. He wants to ask them for their support. He says years ago, he volunteered for the war in Vietnam because he loves his country. Tonight, he's going to stand in the same ring with Jack Swagger for the very same reason. He says our country is on the verge of tyranny and on the verge of anarchy. And when that Alberto Del Rio comes out on that aisle, he wants them all to stand up as one and give them a roaring rendition of USA. Some people in the crowd started to chant it. We then get a recap of the Mark Henry John Cena segment. 2-on-1 handicap match. Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez versus Jack Swagger and Zeb Coulter. Rodriguez is introduced to bring out Del Rio. He comes out and he is the current World Heavyweight Champion. Swagger and Del Rio start. They lock up and drive to the ropes and then to a corner. They break and circle each other again. Another lock up and another drive to the corner. They break and Swagger attacking Del Rio in the corner with shots. Del Rio fights out of the corner and corner whips Swagger into the buckle chest first. Del Rio follows it up with a kick to the back. Swagger back up and Del Rio clotheslines him to the outside. Del Rio then runs and dives through the ropes to run Swagger into the announce table. Swagger then falls to the ground in pain. Del Rio then stomps Swagger as a Del Rio chant goes out. Del Rio throws Swagger back in and goes up top. He hits a crossbody for a 2 count. Del Rio backs up and Coulter hits him with a cheap shot. That distraction allows Swagger to clip Del Rio's knee to knock him down. Swagger starts softening up the leg for the Patriot lock. A USA chant goes out. Swagger keeps dropping elbows on Del Rio's knee. He gets a 1 count. Swagger attacking Del Rio in the corner. He runs Del Rio into another corner head first. He runs his shoulder and his knee into Del Rio's chest as referee Scott Armstrong tries to get him away. He gets Swagger away, and Coulter uses that opportunity to attack Del Rio. Swagger with a snapmare. Swagger puts a leg lock on. Del Rio kicks him away. Del Rio goes for a step up in Zaguri, but misses it. Double reversal off of a belly-to-back suplex attempt. Swagger gets Del Rio down to go for the Patriot lock. He gets the Patriot lock on. Del Rio gets to his feet and breaks the hold. Del Rio puts the cross-arm breaker on Swagger over the top rope for a 4 count. Swagger knocks Del Rio off the apron into the barricade. When they come back from the commercial break, Swagger hits a backdrop on Del Rio. He gets a 2 count. Swagger gets a leg lock on as Coulter encourages him. Del Rio kicks Swagger repeatedly to get him to break the hold. Swagger rushes Del Rio in the corner, but Del Rio moves and Swagger hits the post shoulder first. Del Rio hits a couple of clotheslines. Del Rio hits a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Del Rio hits a super kick to Swagger's jaw. He gets a 2 count. Del Rio is hurting. He pulls himself up by the ropes as the crowd is trying to encourage him with a C chant. Swagger reverses a rolling cross arm breaker attempt into a belly-to-belly suplex. Swagger goes for the Patriot lock again. Del Rio gets to the ropes. Swagger breaks, but then immediately applies the hold again. Del Rio kicks Swagger repeatedly and continues into the cross arm breaker. Swagger tries to get to the ropes before finally tapping out. Del Rio tries to get up before collapsing in pain. He then pulls himself up by the ropes. He collapses in pain again, and Rodriguez and a doctor come in to check on Del Rio and his injured leg. Del Rio goes to the corner and pushes people away as he tries to get up. All of a sudden, Dolph Ziggler music hits, and the crowd explodes as he comes out with AJ and Big E. He gets into the ring, tells the extra people in there to get out, and presents his Money in the Bank case to referee Scott Armstrong. Armstrong tells the others to leave as Justin Roberts tells the audience Ziggler is cashing in his contract, and the reaction is tremendous. The bell rings and Ziggler attacks Del Rio immediately, with kicks and punches to the legs. He hits the Famouser and gets a close 2 count. Ziggler can't believe it, but goes right back to punching Del Rio on the mat. A massive Let's Go Ziggler chant goes out as he goes for a splash in the corner, but Del Rio moves. Del Rio somehow hits a step up in Zaguri. He gets a 2 count. Del Rio gets the cross arm breaker on Ziggler in the middle of the ring. Ziggler grabs the bad leg while in the hold to break it. Ziggler hits the zigzag and pins Del Rio to become the new World's Heavyweight Champion. The crowd cheers wildly when it is announced. AJ and Big E come in to celebrate with Ziggler. After the commercial break, The Undertaker's music hits and he comes out. They show highlights of his win the night before. An Undertaker chant goes out as he gets in the ring and tries to speak. He says last night at WrestleMania, he dedicated that match to the memory of Paul Bearer. He starts to say something else as the Shield's music hits and they show up. They make their way into the ring through the crowd. As they surround the ring, Undertaker takes off his coat and hat for a fight. The Shield get up on three sides of the ring. Undertaker with his head on a swivel trying to keep an eye on all three members. Suddenly pyro goes off and Kane and Daniel Bryan come out to even the odds. The Shield back off and lead through the crowd. More highlights of WrestleMania. The announcers recap the Ziggler cash in and win. Josh Matthews interviews Dolph Ziggler and congratulates him. Ziggler says thank you, and he knows it's the day after, but this is his WrestleMania moment. He's the show-off. He's going to take his new championship, shine it up, and show it off because it's about damn time. 6-man tag match. R-Truth, Santino Marella, and Zack Ryder versus the 3-man band Heath Slater, Drew McIntyre, and Jinder Mahal. Slater and R-Truth start. They lock up and R-Truth with a side headlock. Slater pushes off. R-Truth comes back with a shoulder block. R-Truth runs the ropes, but holds on when Slater goes for a drop kick and then hits Slater with a shot to knock him down. Marella tagged in. He dances and Slater hits him with a shot, so he tags Ryder in. That Marella is no dummy. Mahal also tagged in. Ryder with some shots. Mahal reverses an Irish whip, but Ryder comes back with a faceplant. Mahal goes to throw Ryder out, and Ryder lands on the apron. He hits Mahal with a right hand to knock him down. He then hits McIntyre on the apron with the right hand while the referee was distracted with Slater. Mahal comes back with a forearm to knock Ryder to the floor. McIntyre comes down and slams Ryder up against the apron and then throws him back into the ring. McIntyre with a running kick to Ryder in the ring. McIntyre throws Ryder into 3-man band's corner and tags Slater in. Slater stomps Ryder down in the corner. McIntyre tagged back in. He gets Ryder down in an armbar. Ryder gets back to his feet and hits McIntyre with some right hands to try to break the hold. McIntyre with a suplex. Ryder lands on his feet and counters with a neck breaker. Slater and Marella both tagged in. Marella with a series of punches. Slater misses a clothesline attempt. Marella comes back with a hip toss. He follows that up with a falling headbutt. He gets a 1 count at the same time as Mahal comes in to break up the count. R-Truth comes in and clotheslines Mahal over the top rope, and they both fall to the outside. Marella pulls the Cobra out and puts it on. McIntyre gets up on the apron and grabs the arm. Marella elbows him away and hits Slater with the Cobra to pin him. Highlights of WrestleMania Access. The crazy way they spell it causes havoc when I'm typing it out. Randy Orton and Sheamus argue in the back about the Big Show match and whose match it should be. Sheamus says, "You know what? I've got this." The Big Show is asked why he turned on Orton and Sheamus. He says he wouldn't say he turned on them. He would say that they turned on him. Instead of everyone saying they worried about if you can trust the Big Show, he should have been worried if he can trust Orton and Sheamus. From the very beginning, they didn't want him in that match. Yes, he did tag himself in. He sacrificed himself in some Hail Mary collision crash. All he wanted was to get that tag, to prove himself, to prove that he could be there for his team, for himself, for the WWE Universe, and Randy Orton decided to take his thunder. Nobody takes his thunder anymore. The Big Show should have said nobody takes his Nitro because it was the more popular show back in the day. Never again. He tried this route and he doesn't want any more of it. There's only one thing in the world that's important to the Big Show, and that is the Big Show. Sheamus comes to the ring first. He gets on the mic and asks the crowd who wants to see him kick Big Show's ass tonight. The crowd cheers. He says, "Let's bring Vicky Guerrero out here and sort this out right now." But instead, Randy Orton's music hits. He gets in the ring and says that while Sheamus is out there pleading his case and asking for support, the Big Show is his tonight. Orton asks the crowd who wants to see him kick the Big Show's ass, and they cheer. That's a fickle crowd. They leave it to the audience to decide if it will be Orton or Sheamus by tweeting out their preference. After the commercial break, Orton is ahead in the voting 77-23. Vicky Guerrero comes and does her "excuse me" gimmick. Booker T also comes out. Booker says both men have legitimate reasons to want to get the Big Show in the middle of the ring. Booker says he has conferred with Vicky about a fair and impartial way to settle this, and she says tonight it's Sheamus versus Randy Orton, and the winner of that match will face the Big Show. Booker tells the referee to get in the ring and start the match now. Sheamus versus Randy Orton. They circle each other and lock up. Back to a corner. Battle for position on the ropes to another corner. Referee Mike Chioda counts them and finally gets them to break the hold. They lock up again and Sheamus with a side headlock. Orton pushes off and Sheamus comes back with a shoulder block. They get up and circle each other again. Sheamus with a side headlock and Orton pushes off. Orton with drop downs and leapfrogs to avoid Sheamus. Orton finally hits Sheamus with a back elbow. Orton with a snapmare. He goes to drop a knee, but Sheamus moves. Sheamus drops a knee, then another knee, and he gets a 1 count. Sheamus with a wrist lock. Sheamus with a corner whip, and Orton comes out with a clothesline to Sheamus. Orton with some European uppercuts to Sheamus. Orton with an Irish whip. Sheamus blocks a hip lock attempt and clotheslines Orton. He gets a 2 count. Sheamus then works on the arm and gets an armbar on. Orton works back to his feet and yanks Sheamus down to the mat by his hair to break the hold. Orton drops a knee on Sheamus. He gets a 2 count. Orton with a headlock. Sheamus fighting not to go out. Sheamus with a belly-to-back suplex to break the hold. Sheamus with a running knee to get a 2 count. Sheamus gets a headlock on. Orton struggles to get back to his feet to break the hold. He does and hits a belly-to-back suplex of his own. The crowd has been chanting some weird stuff all night long and are currently chanting RVD. Orton up and doing the Orton stomp to Sheamus. No word whether the kids in Bristol like it. About halfway through, Sheamus gets Orton up and does a rolling fireman's carry senton. He gets a 2 count, and now the crowd is chanting JBL. Sheamus goes up top. The crowd is chanting Jerry towards Lawler. As Sheamus comes off, Orton hits him with a drop kick. The crowd chants Michael Cole as they go to break. When they come back, Orton has Sheamus in a headlock and Sheamus with a big left and right hands to break the hold. Sheamus off the ropes and Orton hits him with a knee to the midsection. Orton choking Sheamus on the second rope for a 4 count. He then runs his elbow into Sheamus' face for a 3 count. As Orton comes back towards Sheamus, he kicks Orton to keep him away. Back and forth in the center of the ring. Sheamus reverses an Irish whip, but drops his head early and Orton kicks him in the face. Orton rushes Sheamus, who hits the Irish curse backbreaker on Orton. He gets a 2 count. The crowd has started doing the wave. Sheamus hits a couple of clotheslines and runs his shoulder into Orton in the corner. Sheamus with a running knee to Orton. He goes to throw Orton out of the ring, but Orton lands on the apron. Sheamus grabs him. He hits some forearms to Orton's chest as he is bent back over the ropes. Sheamus then clotheslines Orton back into the ring. Sheamus gets Orton back up into a fireman's carry, but Orton slips out and hits him over the backbreaker. A Randy Savage chant goes out. This is a wild crowd here tonight. Orton with a couple of clotheslines, ducks a Sheamus clothesline attempt, and power slams Sheamus. Orton with a suplex as an HBK chant goes out. Orton hits an apron DDT and then goes into his Viper routine. He goes for the RKO, and Sheamus pushes off. Sheamus hits white noise and sets up for the Brogue kick. He goes for it, but Orton ducks out of the way as he is kicking, and Sheamus goes up and over the ropes to the outside, and as he hits the floor, the Big Show's music hits. He comes down to the ring and looks to be in a bad mood. He picks Sheamus up and runs him into a ring post. Big Show then gets into the ring, and the crowd chants, "Thank you, Big Show." Orton gets up and Big Show KO punches him. Big Show then drags Orton out of the ring and throws him into the barricade. Orton trying to get up, and Big Show stalking him and hits him with a spear as he gets up by the announce desk. Big Show then throws Orton over the announce desk into the barricade behind him. Big Show then goes behind the desk and starts launching the desk chairs towards the ring. He stomps Orton behind the desk. Big Show then leaves. Referee Mike Chioda checks on Orton. Flashback to what happened when The Undertaker came out earlier. Fandango comes out and dances to the ring. Fandango versus Kofi Kingston. The bell rings. Kingston goes to lock up, but Fandango dances away. They lock up and drive to a corner. Break clean and Fandango goes to the apron. He gets back in and goes to kick Kingston, but Kingston catches his leg. Kingston with an Irish whip. He drops his head and Fandango drives him to the mat. Fandango stomps Kingston. Suddenly, Chris Jericho runs to the ring and attacks Fandango, and the referee calls for the bell. Fandango wins by disqualification. Jericho is unloading on Fandango, getting him up and chopping him. Fandango reverses an Irish whip. Jericho holds on to the ropes and throws Fandango over the top rope when he rushes Jericho. He then runs Fandango into the barricade. He then runs Fandango into the timekeeper's area and then begins to take apart the announce table. He then throws Fandango into the barricade again and then into the announce table before throwing him into the ring steps. Jericho throws Fandango into the ring and beats on Fandango some more before putting on the walls of Jericho. Officials in the ring trying to get Jericho to give the hold up and let go. They finally get the hold broken. Fandango gets up and Jericho hits him with the code breaker. The fans hum Fandango's theme as he finally gets up and limps towards the back. They show Triple H undergoing some tests after his match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Josh Matthews interviews Paul Heyman. Josh says last night was not a good night for Paul Heyman, guys. And Heyman says it's nice to see that ignorance is still bliss in New Jersey. He says he chooses to look at things from an intelligent perspective. Last night, his client got knocked out cold in his match with Triple H, but it still took Triple H 23 minutes to survive with Brock Lesnar. Why aren't you asking Shawn Michaels about last night? Because he got his face smashed in by Brock Lesnar. Why aren't you asking Triple H about last night? Because Triple H is still getting x-rays and MRIs on his arm, which he still can't use today thanks to Brock Lesnar. His client Brock Lesnar is ready for a fight tonight, but he doesn't let his client fight for free. So why doesn't Josh ask him about The Undertaker versus CM Punk? Heyman says he shouldn't be the one to tell you how CM Punk feels. CM Punk should be the one to tell you how CM Punk feels, and CM Punk is going to tell you how he feels next week right here on Raw. The crowd boos when they hear that. 8-person mixed tag team match. Rhodes Scholars, Cody Rhodes, and Damian Sandow, and the Bella Twins, Bree and Nikki, versus Tons of Fun, Brodus Clay, and Sweet Tea, and the Funkadactyls, Naomi and Cameron. When they come back from the commercial break, Naomi hits Bree with the rear view, and Rhodes tagged in. He mocks Naomi, so she hits him with a Hurricane Rana, and Sweet Tea comes in and hits Rhodes with a corner charge. He then hits Rhodes with a running back splash. Sweet Tea goes to drop an elbow, but Rhodes moves. Rhodes hits a step-up enziguri. Sandow comes in and attacks Sweet Tea while he is on the ropes, and referee Charles Robinson gets him off of Sweet Tea, allowing the Bella Twins to attack Sweet Tea. Sandow drops an elbow on Sweet Tea. He gets a front face lock on Sweet Tea, who fights back to his feet. Sandow misses a right hand, and Sweet Tea hits a belly-to-back suplex. Clay tagged in. He clotheslines Sandow. He knocks Rhodes off of the apron, clotheslines and headbutts Sandow. Clay with a big splash and a T-bone suplex. Bella Twins come in to break up the pin, bringing the Funkadactyls in. Now all 8 are in the ring. Sweet Tea clotheslines Rhodes out. Sandow attacks Sweet Tea. Sweet Tea and Clay with a double bump to Sandow. Clay then pins Sandow. WWE Rockpocalypse game ad. Challenge match. John Cena versus Mark Henry. Henry out first looking determined. Cena out to a mixed reaction. The bell rings and they circle each other. Cena ducks a charge and does a little dance. Cena with shots to Henry, and Henry charges him to knock him down. Henry kicks and pushes Cena to keep him down. He picks Cena up and headbutts him. He then kicks Cena while he is down. Henry with a corner whip. Henry misses a splash when Cena moves. Cena comes back with some shoulder tackles, ducks a clothesline attempt, and knocks Henry down with another shoulder tackle. Henry rolls outside. Cena comes out after him, and Henry kicks him down. Henry runs Cena headfirst into the announce table. Henry starts to take the announce table apart and goes for the world's strongest slam, but Cena slips out and goes for the AA. Henry runs Cena into the corner post. Cena then reverses an Irish whip attempt and runs Henry into the ring steps and slides back into the ring. Henry gets counted out and the crowd boos. Cena gets his championship, and as he is holding it up, he is attacked from behind by Henry. Henry hits the world's strongest slam. Henry grabs the WWE Championship and holds it up high. Ryback's music hits and he comes out. They go back and forth in the middle of the ring. Ryback then knocks Henry down. He then hits a spinebuster on Henry. Ryback then leads the crowd in a chant of "Feed me more." Ryback then looks at Cena in the corner. The crowd wants Ryback to attack Cena and boo when he extends his hand and helps Cena up. They are face to face in the ring. Then Cena gets up on the corner post and poses. Ryback gets the crowd to chant "Feed me more" again. Ryback then clotheslines Cena and the crowd cheers. Ryback then hits Shell Shock to Cena. He holds up the WWE Championship while the crowd cheers. They chant "Feed me more" as the credits come up, as they sign off from New Jersey. Final thoughts. This was a wild show. The Ziggler win was unexpected, and the crowd helped make this show interesting. Recommended. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TheJoeyHarris. If you like the show, please leave a review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for joining me this week. This is Joey saying so long from the heart of Virginia.
The Cup of Joe Wrestling Show is a production of Baby Kangaroo Media.